The following program is an opinion program. The opinions expressed by the hosts and guests of this program are not the opinions of the management, staff, and advertisers of this station. Please direct all criticism, concern, and adulation to the hosts of this program.
Welcome to Alabama Politics This Week. I'm Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show host. You can hear me all over the great state of Alabama from 5 to 9 a.m. on WVNN in Huntsville. And then from 10 until 11, you can hear me on Talk 99.5 in Birmingham and on News Radio 1440 in Montgomery. And then again in Huntsville. How exciting for everyone there from 6 until 7 p.m. On Talk Radio 103.9
It's so
FM,
exciting.
7:30 a.m. The Up. Let's get it on there. Hey, Mecca, where are your radio shows at? Oh, no, you don't have any. That's right. You're the CEO of 256today.com. Go check that website out.
Smart news for smart people.
Smart enough not to have 9 radio shows.
There you go.
That is the smart thing to do. Jeff Poor will be with us here in just a little bit. He's a talk show host down in Mobile. I guess I need to get on a station down there, but he is a talk show host down there, and we'll talk with him about some of the congressional races, and we'll even bring up Amendment 1, which is super exciting. So stay tuned for that. Right now, though, we're going to go ahead and get to the 2-minute warning. All right, everyone seems to be super excited about this, and I've been more like, because I'm not very excited about this thing at all, because I knew from the day this happened that the Republicans in the supermajority of the Alabama legislature were going to go down and pass a get around in order to carve this out and say in vitro fertilization is fine here in the state of Alabama. They tried to do it on the national stage, and it was kind of pushed back on by a Mississippi senator. One of the guys there should be a local matter. I tend to agree with that, but Alabama Republicans, what they're trying to do is A, get this off the stage, which they're doing, and B, not get drug into a conversation about abortion. That's what they're looking to do. They're also trying to not upset their hardcore pro-life base who might feel that in vitro fertilization and the destruction of those things might in fact be destroying life. So there's a lot of different things here, but at the end of the day, Mecca.
Wow. Okay, so I cannot disagree with you more as far as this being meh.
It's IV, meh.
It's horrible, however you put it, because we're talking about real families
I agree with
facing some of the biggest challenges they will ever face.
And it's dealt with immediately.
No, it's not dealt with immediately. Okay, just last night, House Speaker Nathaniel Ledbetter was talking about a neighbor calling him. She's been doing all the shots. She's been doing everything she's supposed to be doing. Well, guess what? That all has to be done within a time frame.
Right.
And so for this to be paused in any way,
it didn't have to be paused.
money, but it did get paused.
I know. That was why it was bad. That's why it was important that they come in and right away fix it. 6 legislative days. That's the quickest they can do it.
Okay, so but they are trying to do it right and correctly.
Yeah, right.
So it's going to take a little more time than 6 days.
No. This thing's going to be done. And in fact, by the time you see this, it might be done and signed by the governor.
It very well might be. But nonetheless, your whole reaction to this issue, I know that you don't like the fact that you think that UAB and all these places overreacted, but I maintain that they had reason and cause for concern.
You're reacting as if I'm saying that the parents and families are having an issue here, and that's not important.
This
I
affects
disagree.
them, though.
I understand, but that's not what I'm talking about.
You can't talk about it without talking about them.
Okay, well, I'll take these 2 issues as I'm trying to tell you. One, the parents were done wrong here. They were done wrong by UAB. They were done wrong by everyone. The only people that could fix this was the Alabama legislature. That's it.
And they immediately jumped into action to move to act.
And I spoke with Greg Cook.
Get that.
I spoke with Greg Cook this week. He wrote the dissent. And he was trying to get his people on the Supreme Court to change their mind before all this went down because of this.
Because he knew the outcome.
So let me be clear here. The IV stuff is about the outrage over this, knowing it was going to be fixed. The UAB stuff, that's terrible, and I'm with you on this. And that's why Republicans are arguing that this is, you say it's pro-life, pro-choice, all this other stuff. They're like, hey, wait a second. These are parents who want to have kids.
Right.
There's nothing more pro-life than this.
There is a contingent, and you mentioned that, there is a contingent of the pro-life movement who do believe that it's not, I mean...
They've been steamrolled, then they put concrete on top of them, then they build houses on top of them. They do not matter.
I think
In this...
I think they do still, I think that this is a goal. of certain aspects of the pro-life movement.
They can have all the goals they want.
Okay. I'm just saying.
There's a goal to push Jews into the season in the Middle East, and guess what? That's not going to happen either. No, I'm giving you an extreme on the other side.
I get it. Why we? Okay.
Just because people want to do it doesn't mean everyone wants to do it, nor do they have any power. And I'll go further on what I just said,
Please
just
don't.
to make clear. No,
Please
just listen. In Michigan, there's all this talk about this non-committal vote because Joe Biden may not hate the Jews enough, and they're trying to make this whole thing about there's all this protest. There's actually not. It's like 13%. The non-committal vote last year was 11%, but we're giving those 13% all this outsized power. Same thing here. We're giving outsized power to the people who think that IVF is like an affront to God because it creates life and then it destroys it. That's their argument.
Yeah.
They are irrelevant. So the only victims here are the people that were harmed when those things stopped. Those were the victims.
Well, you
the
tend to
parents.
go to extremes, and I have to disagree with you as far as
I know,
I think they do have a voice, and I think
I'm
that
agreeing
they
with
do
your
have-
premise. Your premise is that the parents have been wronged here and they should be righted, and I agree with that. So actually, we don't really disagree all that much on this. I think you disagree with my wording, and that's probably
happens frequently.
That's probably
actually.
fair. I'm agreeing with you. I've never heard you be so. We are in a competitive agreement. Let's move on and talk about gambling here for a second. All right, gambling. New bill with a chance? Yes. I've been referring to this new conversation we seem to be having about gambling as basically lottery plus the status quo. The whole idea that we're going to have gambling expansion when it comes to casinos in different places like Birmingham and wherever these things are in Lowndes County and Macon and Greene, and we're going to put one in Baldwin County and all this other, or Mobile. No, stop. Not going to be one in North Alabama. None of that's happened. That's over. Now we're on to the next phase of this, and it is lottery with money going to certain things, some to roads, some to schools, everyone gets a little bit of a taste, and we can say, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Lottery plus the status quo. The criminal, quasi-illegal operators running slot machines with extra steps and fake horse racing, congratulations. You may get hooked up. Becca, does this have a real chance?
I think it has a better chance than what got passed to it once the opposition made themselves more vocal. Mm-hmm. You know what is interesting to me, and I hadn't thought about enough, is the fact that the House has never passed a gambling bill. They never have. It's always come from the Senate, and then it dies in the House. So it's funny now that it's more reversed at this point.
Yeah, but I agree with that. I heard that as well. My response to that has been this so far. These are different human beings, too. I mean, just because they're all in the House. I mean, the bodies have changed. There are people who are like, they went to pass it and got new blood in the Senate, and then you had 18 hard no's all of a sudden. So they passed it, and then all of a sudden you had 18 hard no's. Well, you're not even close. So that's where they were. Now, Sam Gavan, guy comes up a lot on this show, I mean, because he's one of these guys who was in flux on this. He went from being a hard no to saying, I'm down with lottery plus the status quo.
Sam Gavan said, I'm down with?
Well, I mean, I don't know if he said those exact words. I'm not putting quotes on it.
I think you literally did bigger quotes. Continue.
Yes.
Continue.
Look how you derailed the conversation this time. All right. But yes, so the fact that you're moving people like him tells me this bill's got a chance.
No, I agree. At this point, I think it. At this point, I think it does.
Conference committee will come together. Some Frankenstein monster will come out, and maybe they'll vote for it. Maybe they won't.
Oh, and let's not forget what happens after that. I mean, that's not the end game.
I mean, yeah, it is, because the people are going to vote for yes no matter what it does.
That's not always true.
Yeah, would you like to give me a scenario where they would vote for it?
No.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Mitch McConnell here. Mitch McConnell, is he a hero or he's a demon? Well, I've been arguing for quite some time that the Alabama legislature should set aside a portion of money to build a gold statue of Mitch McConnell in Sheffield, Alabama. That's where he's from. And a lot of people don't know that. Katie Britt referred to him as Alabama's native son, and he's absolutely that. I heard a lot from conservatives that are happy he's leaving, and they talk about how great it will be that he's gone. And, I would argue that he did a pretty good job as majority leader and the leader of the party in taking governorships and legislatures, Supreme Court justices. These were all very important accomplishments for him. I think the demonization of him amongst the right is unfounded, but we're seeing a lot of it. But they view him as a demon. So will he go down as a hero or a demon amongst Republicans?
Oh, I mean, I think if you're just looking at Republican polls or the primary voters, he's definitely a demon.
And Democrats view him as a demon, so nobody likes him.
He has no fans basically left, and honestly, that points to the shift in the Republican Party. You know, more the corporate Reagan Republicans versus the Trump Republicans. You know, even the guys who are on track to replace him, they are, if you look at them, they're more late Trump supporters, if you will. Later.
I think money's still going to be a big thing here. Raising a lot of money is still going to be a big thing. The way Mitch McConnell controlled things was by raising a ton of money from the corporate entities that you're kind of referencing here. It's one of the reasons why it's truthfully one of the reasons why we don't have immigration reform. It's one of those issues. It's true. It's one of the reasons. But you have a sort of an insurgent faction within the Republican Party. But I'm going to tell you this right now. We're going to be sitting here when they pick a new leader, and we're going to say, I guess the corporate elite still have some power here, because it's going to be a McConnell. It's going to be a McConnell chain person. I mean, look, all you need to know is look at who's given the State of the Union speech. The rebuttal for the Republicans. It's Katie Britt. She's giving that speech. And look, she straddles the line between where she stands, but she is clearly in the McConnell camp, I would say. And that's not a derogative thing. I think that's a powerful yes thing on my side.
I think she is very strong in her beliefs.
Yeah.
And her conservative beliefs, and I think she represents them as well, but I also think she looks at the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's good. We just said the exact same thing.
I said it better.
Okay, there we go. Well, one more topic here. We're going to make this quick. Let's move on to school choice. Is this where they get it? Yeah, I think it actually is where they get it. The muted, so far, opposition to this has borne no fruit. They have been able to move this thing pretty well. Some of the complaints, as we all have heard all the time, there's some talk about testing issues. What about those private schools that happen to be religious? Nope, you lose both those battles. Where exactly can the anti-school choice people make some hay or inroads? I don't know at this point. It looks like it's pretty much a slam dunk in the Senate. There might be some minor changes here and there, but the bill looks shockingly like what they talked about before, Mecca. There have not been a lot of changes in this thing. It is basically what they said it was going to be.
Thus far.
Okay, so you think it goes to the Senate, where the main guy, Arthur Orr, is a pretty powerful guy.
Okay, let's just add up some dots, okay? Add up some dots. I don't think that's the saying. Let's connect some dots here. So we have talked on this program numerous times about the lack of opposition, correct?
Yep.
I mean, why? Why, Dale? Why is there no opposition? Why is it not being more vocal?
Because this isn't so bad.
Right. You talk about the AA being this huge, powerful organization, which we disagree on. I think they had their heyday, and I think they have yet to return to glory.
They still are.
Exactly. So where does that leave us?
Well, at this point, either they're slumbering and they're going to wake up, or they have decided to lay down on this, or the third one, I think this is your point, this is palatable to them. And if this is palatable to them, the argument is, well, it must not be good enough for Dale Jackson. And you're saying that, and I'm saying, no, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, right? That's the path you're going down, right? Okay, so I'm sorry to short circuit you right in the middle of it, but that's exactly what you were going for.
Well, last year, though, remember we talked about it was going to be like a game of inches or small bites to get there and stuff. So I think it's still in the direction that Dale Jackson wants.
Yeah, no, this is like a 40-yard pass. Okay, it's not a touchdown. It's not over yet, but this is like a 40-yard pass. They've moved the ball significantly. If they end up with this or something close to what it is right now, it's a humongous win, and it's not over. This is going to look at what they've done with the divisive concepts and DEI. They get it through, and then they just go and grow and grow, and I think that's what you're going to see.
I'm not saying that's not what's going to happen. I mean, that's what we taled about last year.
Yeah,
they're going to keep building on it. But as far as Dale Jackson level school choice, I don't know if it's going to turn out that way.
I think you're madder that we agree. I think that bothers you even more. Okay, Becca, hold on one second. We come back. Jeff Bohr will be with us. We'll talk about some of those congressional races. I'll give you a parting shot at the end of the program. It's Alabama Politics This Week.
Hello, Alabama. This is your all-time favorite president, Donald J. Trump. My friend, Congressman Gary Palmer, has taken care of the people that he represents about as well as anybody can. Gary is an America First conservative who is fighting to secure our border, strengthen our military, and protect and defend our under siege Second Amendment. Alabama, please get out and vote for Gary Palmer for Congress on March 5th. He will not let you down.
I'm Gary Palmer, and I approve this ad.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for University Kia. This is my son Grant. He's a busy guy. Chess, piano, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it. There's probably some stuff that I missed that my wife will be mad about, but here's the thing. It's important to have reliable transportation. My friends at University Kia, they take great care of me. I've been driving Sportages my entire life. My wife drives a Telluride now, and it is the perfect vehicle for the busy family. Folks, University Kia, let them take care of you like they've taken care of my family. That's University Kia. Learn more at universitykia.com.
Tom, Grant and Dale Jackson sent you.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I'm Dale Jackson. With me, as always, Mecca Music. And our guests this week from FM Talk 106.5 down in Mobile and 1819 News and Breitbart, Jeff Poor. He joins us. We've had him on the program a bunch of times. I look forward to having him here. We're going to talk about District 1, District 2. We'll talk about maybe gambling, IVF, you name it. We'll get into all of these things. But, Jeff, let's go through it the right way. District 1, there's been a new poll out. I believe it was Auburn. Montgomery put this poll out. I was kind of surprised to see this. We have Jerry Carl, the congressman from the 1st District, against Barry Moore, the congressman from the 2nd District, now in District 1. And Jerry Carl is leading by a few points with a couple days to go here. You buying this poll? What does the poll tell us?
Yeah, well, I mean, I believe the poll. I don't know about it. I mean, I buy it in somewhat as of a trend. I do think the race has tightened a lot for Jerry Carl. They have thrown a ton of money at it in the last week or so, ever since Club for Growth sort of showed that they were going to get involved. I don't know, 3 points, it's a margin of error race. I still think it's a jump ball right now.
It's a jump ball, but if you had to pick your listeners, what are you hearing when you talk to people? Who are they reacting to the most?
Listeners, I mean, it's pretty overwhelmingly Barry Moore. But when you go to events and you got to go out to see the movers and shakers, it's Jerry Carl. It is two very distinct kind of crowds that are supporting each of these candidates. And like historically, Mecca, at these races, I mean, the last several cycles, what I would call the establishment has prevailed in these Republican primaries, a very low turnout. I just point to like the Kay Ivey dominating her race, Katie Britt, the way she took care of business as well, and those tend to be the more establishment candidates.
And that race is going to be a close one, no question about it. The traditional wisdom, though, is Barry Moore, the more conservative guy, considered the Tea Party-ish guy, the base guy, who would have the advantage. This poll indicates otherwise.
I have another question really quick about this. Do you think the endorsements, the wildly different endorsements, have played any role in these poll results?
Very, very little bit. I mean, who goes out and votes based on an endorsement? I still think there's some heavy hitters that could come on board, and like what Bradley Byrne or somebody like that that's popular down here. Maybe that is a difference maker. But I Jim Jordan coming to Alabama, what does that really sway anybody's vote?
I think it just solidifies this is the conservative candidate.
So Ted Cruz endorsing Moore didn't move the needle that much, you don't think?
I don't think so. I mean, people that would be swayed by a Ted Cruz endorsement were already likely in the Barry Moore.
Yeah, it's a solidifier more than anything else. He's like, yeah, this is the guy.
Proving your point.
Yeah. Let's talk about District 2, move up north just a little bit. I don't know, there's like 27 people in this race. 3 of them actually live in the district. It's a very interesting race nonetheless. I was down in Montgomery this week. I spoke with Greg Albrecht and I asked him, how's the race going? He's like, I don't know. That's what he said. Jeff was standing right there, actually. Jeff was there when we had the conversation. So it's him and Brubaker on the Republican side. They're sort of the two that you might want to look at. Do you see anyone else popping up? There was some talk about some other players there, or is it between Brubaker and Albritton?
Carolee Dobson could, if you're looking for a dark horse candidate, kind of creep into the mix. The problem with the Dobson, she's kind of a startup deal. She's new to politics and has zero name ID. Albritton and Brubaker are two names that are pretty much household names throughout, parts of that district. Albritton in the south and Brubaker in the north. That's tough to beat. But, I really thought Dobson had a good run at it. This is her first campaign. And I don't know, depending on turnout, she might make it close.
Jeff, just asking really quick to look at the other side. Is there anything that has stood out on the Democratic candidate from the Democratic candidates for you?
No, I'm kind of surprised. Shamari Figures, we don't know much about him as Alabamians. I think he worked in the Obama administration. Seems to be doing pretty well here. Anthony Daniels, not obviously up front in y'all's part of the world, but I think he'll make a runoff at least. And then it's anybody's game. So watch those two. Outside shot, Napoleon Bracey. He's probably the third kind of guy looking in. So it can be either one of those three. I don't know. Marika Coleman hasn't really done much to impress anybody. And Jeremy Gray is kind of a long shot.
If you're looking at this and you're either on the Republican side or the Democratic side, is there anyone you want on the other side? Like, if you're a Democrat, do you want to face off against Brubaker or do you want Albritton? Who do you want if you're a Democrat? Who do you want the other side to bring out?
Well, I think whoever it is, you want the candidate on the other side not to live in the district. So if you're Brubaker, you ideally want Anthony Daniels because that just gives you something to knock down. And even though it's constitutional, it becomes a good talking point. And the same for the Democrats. Albritton doesn't live in the district, so I guess he would be the guy you would want. I don't know that it really matters to the Democrats. They're playing a different kind of ball game. But I would want somebody that's not living in the district, and there's a lot of that in this Democratic primary.
So you're hearing it in the Democratic primary. In the Republican primary, you're not getting a lot of he doesn't live here sort of stuff?
Just Albritton. I think the rest of those candidates all live in the district, technically.
But are they pounding that?
Not yet, but that's the anticipation that we're going to hear a lot of that. And it's just kind of bizarre watching the debate on Sunday night. All the candidates lived outside the district except for Shamari Figures, and he's just relatively new to the area, coming from Washington, D.C. All of these guys sort of seem very carpetbaggerish.
I just don't know why they're not killing each other on it. I feel like that should be the main thing. He wants to represent you, but he doesn't live here. It seems like a pretty simple slam to throw down on somebody. But it doesn't really seem like that anyone seems all that interested in
this
it.
whole race, though, we've had questions about it, why it's not a bigger deal, why there's not more. So that just plays into that.
It's one of the reasons I want to have Jeff on because he's in that region and he talks about this stuff a lot. Jeff, let's look at the other races. Is there anything out there in any of the other primaries that looks interesting to you in the congressional primaries? I know Gary Palmer in 6. There's been a lot of talk about his pledge not to run again. But I'm on the radio in Birmingham. I don't hear that in my ears. I don't hear the ads hitting that. I don't hear that at all. Any interesting races outside of the Wiregrass area, Mobile, and that new District 2?
Not really. 6 is probably the closest thing you'll get to an interesting race with Jarek Wilkins and Gary Palmer. And McFeeters is in the race. I guess what you want to watch for there is if Gary Palmer could get 50% +1 and avoid a runoff. I'd always worry about a runoff. A low turnout primary runoff a month from the primary. Everybody's exhausted from the primary. Then it's anybody's game. But the three candidates in that 6 race, if Jarek Wilkins can get in a runoff, then maybe.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Okay, so me and you were talking about this this week when I saw you. There's a singular amendment on this, and people are going to ask, What's up with this first, with this Amendment 1 thing? What is it? And you and I were like, well, this is like a technical thing, right? The legislature wants to make things a little bit easier for local amendments. Anything jump out at you on that? Any large number to be like, we got to vote no on this, or we got to vote yes on this? Anything?
No, it's a procedural thing dealing with local legislation, and when you pass, because in the Alabama legislature you have to pass the budgets by requirement before you can do anything else, a constitutional amendment. However, there is a workaround called the BIR, the Budget Isolation Resolution, and what I think they're trying to do is take that requirement away from local bills to where you can work on those and you can do them, because a lot of the local bills can be passed without the entire vote of the body. So it's a whole different procedural thing, and they did that to make the budgets a priority, but it's very rarely adhered to.
No, you just convinced me to vote no. Make it harder on them. That's my takeaway. Vote no on Amendment 1. Make it harder on the legislators to get things done.
Don't you we ran out of time.
But they're lying. The calendar did not sneak up on them. They're not confused. Okay, they know exactly what they're doing.
Getting people to pay attention to amendments in the first place, to care enough to vote yes, is enough of
Don't
a
read
challenge.
it, just vote no. There you go.
People usually do.
There you go. No, they usually vote yes on these things. That's what they usually do, or they skip them altogether. Jeff, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Jeff.
FM Talk 106.5 down in Mobile. He's on Breitbart, Lagniappe, and 1819news.com. Check them out right there. Mecca, she's leaving. The show's going to get a lot better. I promise you that. It's Alabama Politics this week. My parting shot coming up next.
Hello, Alabama. This is your all-time favorite president, Donald J. Trump. My friend, Congressman Gary Palmer, is taking care of the people that he represents about as well as anybody can. Gary is an America First conservative who is fighting to secure our border, strengthen our military, and protect and defend our under siege Second Amendment. Alabama, please get out and vote for Gary Palmer for Congress on March 5th. He will not let you down.
I'm Gary Palmer, and I approve this ad.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improved range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Well, welcome back to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. We're going to jump into the parting shot here in just a quick second. But first, let me remind you, YellowhammerNews.com. Sign up for my email blast at YellowhammerNews.com, and you will get the 7 things you should be talking about today every single day, delivered right to your email inbox, YellowhammerNews.com. Go check them out today. And right now, let's go ahead and get to the parting shot. My parting shot this week is directed at Kyle Whitmire and all of the people who seem to agree that New York City is just so much safer than the great state of Alabama. This is some sort of argument that was being made on social media, and I find it to be absolutely hilarious. Now, yes, it's true. The murder rate in New York City is actually lower than the murder rate in Alabama. The only problem is they pack all of those murders into 302 square miles in New York City. That's why the area feels so much more unsafer. You know why? Because it is. Because all the bad guys are in one place. That's the issue. Plus, the rate of crime in New York City is higher. So yes, the murder rate's higher in Alabama, but the rate of crime in New York City is higher. And again, you have all those people compacted into one area, and there are crimes being committed, and nobody feels safe. Can you walk your dogs at 5 a.m. in the state of Alabama? In most places, yes. Can you do it in New York City and feel safer than you would in Alabama? The answer is no, and everyone knows it. So trying to make this political point was a foolish thing for Kyle Whitmire to do. He argues on his Twitter account that he is fighting a war on dumb, and he shows every day why he is losing that fight. And Tommy Tuberville finished him off with a tweet of his own saying that he had dry rot in his brain. So go read those conversations. It's a pretty good one. It's pretty sad, though, that these are the conversations we're having to have. Thank you very much for watching and listening to Alabama Politics this week. I am Dale Jackson, and we will talk to you next week.